Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom lakam, which is peace unto you all. Hi, Rob Tawab La Adam, Za'ach Yawam on Chagadol, Charlotte, which is good evening. This is your brother Yawam from GMS Camp in Charlotte. Nachamatam, Kaya, Hamalakata Shamayim, Kwara, repent ye for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Call Layam La La Abanawa Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rucha Hakodash. Wamashana Lazaquim, Nawamalakim, Shurchagadol, which is all praises to our Father Yahweh, which means he exists. Bahasham, in the name Yahweh Shai, he delivers in double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. This is an article on financebuzz.com, and it says 12 things the middle class can't afford anymore. It says from dreams to daily needs, see what's become out of reach for the middle class. All right, I'm going to read a couple sentences in each section. I don't want to zaza about excuse me. Lord's will, this is a beautiful edification through the Spirit. All right, and it says, in a world of rising prices, it is getting more difficult to get ahead financially. In fact, for millions of people, being a member of the middle class just isn't what it used to be. It says, here are some items the middle class can no longer afford, at least not without a substantial financial sacrifice. All right. It says 4-year college. All right. Healthcare costs, dental care costs. All right. And it says emergency fund. It says living debt free. All right. Living without debt has become the expectation rather than the norm. As of mid-2025, credit reporting agency Experian found that the average American debt reached $104,755. That really puts into perspective how living debt-free is a luxury very few have now. All right, let's get a quick precept. Zamashaya, this is Proverbs chapter 22. We'll get verse 7. And it says, the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. All right, and ultimately this is ascribed to Jake. All right, but currently in prophecy, all right, the rich, being the upper class, all right, and the poor essentially consisting of those that can't make ends meet. All right, which that'll consist of Edomites as well. It says, and the borrower is servant to the lender. All right, it's a society. This society essentially ran off of credit, you see, but now it's more of a credit reliance. All right. In most recent times. All right. When what that's going to do is produce a society of people that need funds. All right. So if people need funds, all right, well, they'll have to get jobs, you see. So that's going to essentially be grouped together. All right. And what they call over reliance in slave labor. All right, just as in ancient Rome, you see, because if people are living off of debt, they're gonna have to pay off that debt. All right, they're gonna become a servant to those that are essentially lending them the funds. All right, so America, Babylon the Great is pretty much going out the same way as ancient Rome. All right, so continuing on, it says snack foods and beverages. It says according to the USDA, food prices have increased by 23.6% between 2020 and 2024. As a result, Americans have cut back on buying certain types of groceries, specifically snack foods and drinks, according to a survey from Swiftly. All right, so the things that the different luxuries, all right, certain comfort foods, certain amusements is no longer available. All right, so I'm gonna get this. This is Yashaya Isaiah chapter 24, and we'll get verse 8. It says, the mirth of tabrets ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoiceth endeth, the joy of the harp ceaseth. All right, so all the amusement, all the the things that made this place merry-hearted and happy and joyful and things of that nature, all of that is pretty much fading away. The Lord is essentially removing that spirit of mirth. All right. So it says, they shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. It says, the city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up, that no man may come in. A lot of these businesses and different things are closing in America, Babylon the Great. So ultimately, this place is being broken down. Verse 10, it says, the city of confusion is broken down. Something else that essentially made this place great. Going back up into verse 8, what was the mirth? All right, something else that essentially made this place great was the fact that everyone could essentially be as one people. All right, all the things that made this place ultimately great, all right, is being removed. All right, it says the city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up, that no man may come in. It says, there is a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. All right. So that wine essentially represents answers, you see, because it is great confusion going on. All right? A lot of people don't understand, why, these different ABC groups is cracking down on Jake. A lot of people don't really understand why, jobs is being cut. A lot of people don't understand why it's a housing market crisis. A lot of people don't understand why it's a famine ultimately looming, you see. But all the answers is in the scriptures. All right. So going back to that article, it says while home ownership rates are higher post C19 than pre-pandemic, middle income buyers still struggle to find affordable homes. In June 2023, the National Association of Realtors, realtors reported that the supply of affordable homes for those with middle incomes was about 320,000 properties, short of meeting the demand. All right, concerts are essentially people can't afford to go to concerts. All right, it says unpaid sick days. It says federal law does not require companies to offer paid sick leave. As a result, 89% of American employees say they have gone to work while sick rather than miss a day in the last year, according to Bamboo HR survey. Nearly 46% of those employees said they were sick enough that they likely shouldn't have gone to work at all during that time. All right, over reliance on slave labor, All right, so continuing on, it says vacations. It says retirement. It says millions of Americans continue to dream that they might retire early. But for many people in the middle class, retirement at any point now feels like an unachievable dream. In 2023, survey by Axios and Ipsos, 36% of people 55 and older didn't think that they will be able to retire at the age they plan to. On average, number 12, kids. It says on average, Americans want 2.1 children, a number that hasn't changed in several decades, according to the Carolina Population Center. Yet birth rates have fallen quite a bit. While there's no conclusive data showing why birth rates are down, research from the Population Center suggests that the rising cost of living might have something to do with it. Which it ain't specifically that. It's a whole slew of things. All right, for one, they don't really want to put what it is. All right. One thing is the fact that monogamy is heavily pushed. All right. While it's not expedient in this society, all right. Ultimately, monogamy is a form of birth control, population control. All right. Other things that would be in the reason as to it's not kids, feminism. Women don't really want kids like that. They want to be the best man. They want the trophy to see who can be, they want to have a pissing contest with men. They want to be better than men, which it doesn't make any fucking sense, but that's how it is. All right. And that's ultimately why the birth rate is low. But continuing on, it says, unfortunately, the middle class no longer carries the same level of financial security as it did a few years ago. And for a while, the middle class was the backbone of the economy. All right. It says, hopefully inflation will continue to subside this year, making goods more affordable for the middle class Americans. Perhaps you can even build up your savings for the future, which that's not going to happen. All right. So I'm going to get a quick precept. I'm going to get a couple more and that'll be it. But this is, let me see. This is Matthew chapter 24 and verse 22. All right. And it says, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. All right. And ultimately, if the days wasn't shortened, nothing would be saved. All right. Because how this man is going, how he's running society. All right. He's pushing, this AI and this merging man with machine. It ain't going to be no birth rate if he was to continue to, to keep doing this. All right. And then not to mention, even if the AI and, the robots and stuff like that wasn't here, all right, the lifestyles and the philosophies and everything that is ultimately, culminating in how this man rules, all right, it still wouldn't be, no flesh to be saved, you see, because this man was created, Esau, even the so-called white man, to be the wicked. All right, this is his portion in the movie. All right, and this is ultimately, one thing that we need salvation from. All right, how the earth is being ran. All right, but if the Lord didn't, shorten the days, all right, no flesh will be saved. All right, so let's also get this. This is Second Ezra chapter 16, and we'll get verse 21. And it says, "Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion." So victuals, provisions, supplies are going to be affordable. They're going to be cheaper than they're going to be cheaper than the times of hyperinflation. So it says, "Victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case." Months ago, or excuse me, right now, all right, things are somewhat affordable. We're in a time of inflation, and we're starting to see the brunt of the tariffs and the different taxes and stuff like that. When Trump signed those different legislations, he put it upon the people. All right, but things are still somewhat affordable, which here coming up here pretty soon, we're in that transition phase to where essentially it's going to go into hyperinflation. So it says, "And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword." All right, different factions of the sword. The love of many waxing cold. People are essentially in the mindset of offering people, because they don't have anything to they don't have any type of stability. So it says sword, famine. All right. Most recently, it was a systematically induced famine. All right. When they took away the different benefits from everyone, while they did return it, all right, it came back with stipulations, and it's still a good portion of people that don't have it. So just that in itself is a systematically induced famine. This is in great confusion. A lot of people don't know, exactly what's going on, because we're in a time of essentially the Lord visiting the world, which he made. So I'm going to get a quick precept, and that'll be it, or one last precept. This is Revelation chapter 13 and verse 15. It says, "And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed." All right, so pretty much that beast, all right, it says, "And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast." All right, ultimately going into the system, it says that the image of the beast should both speak, are essentially constituting different laws and regulations. It says, "And cause that as many as not will," and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So those that ultimately don't want to partake in this system, they will be cut off from society. All right, and up until the point where those that aren't partaking in the society, they're ultimately going to be killed. It'll be certain martyrs. All right, and it says, reading it back from the top, "And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast." All right, again, the system that the image of the beast should both speak. All right, and the image of the beast speaks again through the laws and legislations, i.e., all right, leading up into that, when they said, "Hey, real ID, digital ID," and so on and so forth. Pretty much that's the image speaking. All right. It says that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And smaller factions of that, all right, if you don't have the real ID, okay, well, you can't, go here. All right. If you don't have the digital ID, you can't do this. All right. Really what that is setting the groundwork, all right, for the MOTB system. Verse 16, "And he causeth all, both small and great." All right. Those that are high or small in stature in the society. All right. Those that are great in stature in the society. Rich and poor. All right. Rich, the upper class. Poor, the lower class. Free and bond. Those that are essentially, walking freely. Bond, pretty much those that are locked up. To receive a charagma in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the charagma, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. All right, so that word for mark, all right, in Greek it will be charagma, which is something that it's a subdermal device that goes under the skin, all right, RFID chip, all right. So it says or RFID CHIP, all right, and it says, "And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the charagma, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." All right, so ultimately, those that don't partake, those that are partaking in this society, they will receive of a charagma. All right, and going back up to verse 15, all right, those that don't partake in this system will, or those that don't receive the charagma, they won't be allowed, to essentially do business and do different things in Esau society. All right, and it'll come a certain point in time to where Esau will actually go after those that don't want to partake in this system, chiefly the prophets. All right, but yeah, just want to go into that. Well, I'm gonna keep reading. verse 18, it says, here is wisdom, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 603 score and six. All right, and it's ultimately, Esau Edom's number. All right, 666. All right, let me see. All right, and it goes into let me see. It's Chai, Chai, let me see, Chai, I believe that's stigma. All right, or let me see.
Strong's G 5516. Chai, Xi, stigma.
Kai.
Chai, Xi, stigma.
So Chai, Psi, stigma. All right, and which ultimately, again, all right, it's going to be a subdermal device under the skin. So that's pretty much where the society is headed to. So, just wanted to go into that. I don't want to zaza about Nayapa, Lord's will. That was a beautiful edification through the spirit. I don't want to zaza atam yashlay la tawab, Lord's will. You have a good night. Wa shalom lakam, which is peace unto you all. Shalom, shalom.